Messiah tanking it up. I do not believe he just believed. Lots of luck. No, you might hit that. What? I cannot understand this game. Unicorns of love. It wasn't you said. The Nexus.
Hello and welcome to the T-Force LCS Rundown, episode 151. Back to normal.
Hola, ¿cómo estás? ¿Está usted? ¿Cómo te llamas?
So I don't think we had fun with that format. I think some people enjoyed it, some people disliked it, and we got lots of cool feedback, and that was awesome. And I appreciate every email that we got. I read every one, and I think I responded to most. So that was just kind of a one-time thing. If you were either looking forward to or dreading that format continuing, I guess you'll either be really happy that it's not or really disappointed that it isn't. But we are going to go back to the basics with the LCS Rundown this week, as we are growing incredibly close to a North American playoffs. And we're about 2 weeks out from Europe's. So we're going to just dive right on in.
Dive on in.
Head first.
Diving in with me, we have Mr. Chris.
Hello.
Mr. Cole.
Hello, friends.
Miss Shawn.
Hello.
Mr. Grant.
Hi, everybody.
And Ian.
What incarnation?
We got so close to having everybody this week, but Blake is still sick. I'm a sick little boy.
I should have done the Southern draw accent.
What were his words about how sick he is right now? Feels like it's Die Hard 3 inside of his lungs. That was his words.
Which actually sounds pretty awesome, so I don't know how that's sick, but okay.
I mean, you can't see it, so all this action's going on, but you can't see shit. So it's just like
it's trying to be as good as the first sickness, but it's not quite pulling it off. But it's passable. You're still gonna stay home.
Fuck you. Die Hard 3 was great. I mean, it's no Hans Gruber, but it was great.
Yeah, and what's worse is he can't hear all the Bruce Willis one-liners.
We have quite the barn burner going on in North America right now. I'm going to really quickly run through the standings as they are, and then we'll get into sort of the action as normal. TSM at top, 14-2. C9, 12-4. Phoenix 1, 11-5. CLG 9-7, Dig 8-8, FlyQuest 7-9, tied with Immortals, also at 7-9. Then you kind of wave playoffs goodbye, and you get down into the realm of no return with Fox 5-11, probably not in danger of anything. Liquid 4-12 in relegation zone, as well as Envy at 3-13 in relegation zone. So we'll start at the top this week. I think the bulk of this episode will probably be talking about North American playoffs positioning, just because unlike Europe, who has 2 weeks remaining, we have 1 week left in North America. And we have some teams who still have to determine whether or not they're going to be getting into playoffs, specifically Dig, FlyQuest, and Immortals. So we'll get down there as soon as we can, but we'll start off at the top with my boys, TSM, Team Solo Mid. We're going top to bottom this time, because I think the bottom of the league has left us with not too much to talk about. So just really quick on TSM. They looked like absolute garbage in the first game against FlyQuest.
What's new?
That's just what they do, I guess.
That happens every game.
Not every game, because they took Echo Fox pretty hard and pretty quick. But they came back in style in the second two games.
TSM losing the first game of a series is almost as iconic as Keith getting caught out and throwing the game.
There's got to be one. There's got to be one game at least where they look really, really bad. But it does kind of leave just the smallest thread of doubt in wondering, when playoffs come, if you happen to get 2 games that are like that, I mean, that's it. You're done. I think they'll still pull it out and probably take it all the way. I'd be kind of disappointed if they didn't. But, it's still a team with problems. It's just probably the team with the least amount of problems out of everybody. But we're still looking forward to the summer.
It's been the story of NA for the past forever.
I mean, it's kind of the story of the spring split.
It's the story of everyone not named SKT, Samsung White or Blue. Like,
Pretty
there
much.
have been, through the course of the entirety of the world of League of Legends, there's been, like, one team every year where you're like, yeah, that's the best team.
Actually, no.
And everyone else is like, they're good, but there's like, you know
who
their
we
80
haven't
carries
heard-
slightly retarded.
We haven't heard anything good from at all is China. For the first time since I've been following competitive League of Legends, I've heard nothing out of China. It's like a dark black hole.
It's because China has showed up to Worlds the past 3 years and been a complete disappointment every single time.
They get hyped up like crazy. They look like shit. The only times they've ever actually made it to the finals is on the back of Uzi, literally carrying his team, kicking and screaming into the finals. And like, they've done nothing since then.
It's
and if
enough
you
to
watch
be,
any
I
of
guess,
their series,
from a strictly a Western perspective, though, it's enough to be disruptive. Like, it's enough to cause problems for North American and European teams.
And now, because of the Korean exodus, they have no talent except for EDG, and then that's like it.
yeah.
Well,
if
no,
you guys,
Starhorn-
if anyone has time,
Starhorn's
hold
their
on,
best
shut
team
the
right
fuck
now.
up and let me finish. God damn it.
Fine.
Here's the thing. If you watch any of the Chinese teams or players or matches right now, they look like a mid-tier EU team. That is how fucking bad it is. It is awful. Individual play is terrible. Macro play makes no fucking sense.
Welcome to the
I will-
LCS East rundown.
I will agree to a point that the majority of their league looks like a nightmare.
They have,
have
one team that looks good.
They have
and that's
three
it.
teams that are half worth the damn. Half worth
No,
the damn.
they have one.
They have
one.
Starhorn, WE, and EDG, and that's fucking it. That's fucking it.
Oh, so good talk about TSM.
Yeah, that's good. That's good TSM talk, guys. Yeah,
I don't know how we got
that's
there.
good comments on TSM.
I always zone out
that's
during
TSM.
TSM, and somehow we got there. So
I'm
I
pretty
guess I
sure.
had to bask in the glory that, the fact that China's what derailed TSM last year, and now they're garbage. So
Oh, good one though.
For now.
So
For now.
I think at this point, like, TSM pretty much have the clinched spot. They play Liquid in P1 next week, so even if they go 0-2 and C9 goes 2-0, you'd have to go, and this is probably, we'll talk about tiebreakers later on, but it's more than likely going to be TSM in that number one spot. And even if it's not, they're still looking to be, guaranteed a bye, since Cloud9's at 12 wins and P1 is at 11, so they're definitely going to be getting a bye in the first week of playoffs. But let's talk about Cloud9, Mr. Ian.
Well, Cloud9 looked less than stellar as they have been for the past few weeks. Kind of
Yikes.
disappointing, to say the least. They lost a game to Envy, which makes me really sad. And
Happens to the
they
best of us, man.
even lost the series to Immortals. I don't know.
That was a crazy fucking series, though.
Yeah, that series was crazy.
that was
but
a crazy series.
It was bad.
Like, watching Immortals all season, that does not happen. That's the only
was
time
really
I've seen
just-
Immortals just show
it
up.
was really just
I-
Dardoch. It was Dardoch and Contracts going at it.
going at
head-to-head.
it. It was an exciting
and their
series.
teams would follow
Yeah.
up behind.
And it was
them.
also
Yeah.
C9's shitty draft. Like,
That was a very
why?
shitty draft. Yeah.
Why would you pick
Again.
Talon? Why would you
Again.
pick Talon in Game 3?
Yo,
Like their
I was
their
going-
draft, the first couple games was all right, but why the fuck would you pick Talon, especially on Jinsen, who is a mid laner that is not known to roam almost ever, probably one of the least roaming mid laners in all of NA.
Thank you.
And please let
Thank
me go on a tangent really
Thank
quickly,
you.
because I said in the Slack group, and I said C9 deserves to lose Game 3 because they saw the Lulu, Caitlyn, Orianna composition coming, and they didn't pick Orianna. All they had to do is take Orianna away, and it derails almost that entire composition. All you gotta do is just play well, good map rotations, and you're fine. Instead, Orianna's a fine blind pick to pick in any team, like she's
into anything.
into
Yeah.
anything. And instead, he goes for the cocky, I'm going to play Talon and just wreck. Like, you're not the one carrying these games. It's Contracts and Dardoch, and you follow up.
That's the thing with Immortals, is that you cannot disrespect them through picks and like just play something that you're super comfortable with and then expect to win, because they're super inconsistent, and if Dardoch isn't successful, the team isn't going to be too successful.
But they're still a good.
still
However, though,
pretty
I will
good
give it to
when-
Mott. No, I will give it to Mott that in a way that this is by far the best game that Immortals has played all split. Though that was the best that they've played. So like
credit
that's where I will
to-
at least give it to C9. Like it was a hard fought game, for them. So it was kind of one of those C9 playing sort of mid tier and Immortals playing the best that they've played in 2 months.
Yeah, I want to
So it
say
was
credit
like-
to C9 for. I was gonna say credit to C9 or credit to Immortals for playing well because they looked like a good team. They did not look bad. They punished C9 for the mistakes they made, and that Dardoch played extremely well. But I just like I honestly think Talon was probably one of the worst picks they possibly could have went there. If you want AD, you can go Zed. Jensen has proven himself that he can play Zed over and over. You could go Jace even if you want AD. And then if you want AP or something that Jensen can lane better on, you can go like LeBlanc or Syndra. Yeah, something like that. Like there are so many picks they could have gone
And
except this
actually,
Talon.
and we've seen the
just didn't work.
Talon work. We've seen Talon work. Hui played it extremely well, I believe. We've seen the Talon
Faker
work.
Hui
played it
is a
pretty
mid
well,
laner
too,
that
let's
is
be
known to
honest.
be able to roam though. Like one of his best champions
But-
is Aurelion Sol, who is a champion that thrives off of roaming.
Shut up, Sean. But yeah, I mean, I'm just like, and Talon, it's not a bad pick per se, but he just looked like he never played it or hadn't played it often. It was like one of those things where I think I can get away with this.
It didn't look prepared.
You can't get away with that against the Immortals, who are still a pretty good team, although they are inconsistent. And that, I mean, we'll get into this probably later, but Immortals actually look fairly good this week. I think in the P1 series, it was just P1 was just overall better, but it wasn't that Immortals like played poorly.
Immortals is a good enough team to punish bad mistakes from other teams. They're not a good enough team to force the mistakes out of others. So like what TSM does really well right now is they're able to wait out an enemy team until the mistakes are made. Or Sven's able to pressure the jungle enough until the enemy makes a mistake, and then they capitalize on mistakes better than most. Immortals can't do that, but what they can do is they see you fucking up. They're good enough players individually and at a macro level that they're going to collapse on you, and you're donezo, kiddo. Now, whether or not they can close out the game is a entirely different story.
Plus, they gave Dardoch Lee Sin.
Yeah, well, and also, I mean, do you guys think that C9 can come back from those mistakes though for playoffs? Like, 'cause that was kind of sloppy. That was really sloppy of them.
100%.
No, because you
are
can see
C9,
that-
you have the exact same problems since day
And you can
one
see that in the
of the NALCS.
the Envy series that they played. They looked really lost on what to do. They had like they were letting Envy start up and take Barons that they should not have been able to do. They were just lack of control of the game. They were ahead, but they didn't have a strong hold on it, and they just didn't know what they were supposed to do to be able to finish out the game. Their team fighting, whenever they do come across those situations, is fairly good usually, but it's getting to the situations where they put themselves in a position to end the game that they have a hard time doing.
Right, and I think as far as playoff wise, I think C9 as an overall team is strong enough to where they can breeze through any like the 4 through 6 seeds, but once they hit TSM and CLG, it depends on what CLG shows up that day.
I don't
but
think
TSM
so.
for sure will be difficult.
I don't think C9 will breeze through any playoff team. Like they dropped a game to Envious, dude.
Well, actually, P1 might actually be a challenge.
I
think P1
disagree.
beats them.
I disagree because Cloud9 as an organization, like these teams, these old school teams, CLG, TSM, Cloud9, they excel in the playoff scenario because it is core League of Legends play. This is the team that you're playing against. Here's their strengths and their weaknesses. This is what we're going into with a plan. Like here's the strategy we're running. And it's the same TSM effect when it comes to playoffs where they can look shit all split, and if they make it to playoffs, they always do pretty well. CLG has the same effect sometimes if they're not burnt out by then. And I think it's going to be the same thing for Cloud9. I totally disagree with you guys. I think it's going to be a wash for the most part. I think it's going to be Cloud9 versus CLG for semifinals, and then that team is going to go on to play TSM for finals. There's both.
Well,
there's
no,
both predictions.
because so
Yeah, I
if
think
P1 here's the problem with the playoff bracket. If P1 gets that second place, then C9 is going to be on the same side as as TSM.
So
it'll be a TSM.
and we're going
C9
to transition.
matchup.
We're going to transition
it gets
down
reseeded.
to, we're going to transition down to
reseeded.
Phoenix 1 right now.
Whoa, Phoenix won.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess we should just focus on the teams, and then we can talk playoffs later.
Yeah.
But
Because I think Phoenix won, especially after this week, could take it all the way. They're really looking strong. They played really well. As we talked a little bit earlier today about Immortals. So who Phoenix One ended up playing was, of course, Liquid, which went exactly as you could imagine. Liquid is absolute garbage right now. It's embarrassing to watch them play. They have some skill as players.
You're telling me that Piglet didn't hard carry?
No, of course not. Piglet's terrible.
What?
But
what?
right.
Wait, but Piglet.
But all right, so
Triple.
if you let me fucking talk about something, I can actually say something that is actually kind of helpful out of this game, because just Double Lift. So Double Lift, right, has been quoting. It's been pretty hilarious to watch Double Lift quoting himself to be mechanically the best AD carry in North America right now. And then Arrow shows up and is like,
takes a
no. Arrow shit on Double Lift. First game ended up as 6-1-10 against Double Lift's 0-4-5 as Ezreal versus Caitlyn. Arrow on Ezreal. And then again, 4-1-15 against Double Lift's 4-4-6. Like, Arrow is just a god. And Meteos is playing really well with this synergy of a team. Like, Rio is going off. Rio is playing like Rio when he was in season 3. Like, it's really cool to watch them. So I think that they're dark horse, but the only thing that's really dead on this team is Nori. Like, what's he really going to be able to do? Like, Meteos is just really good with this team. So because then they played against Immortals the second game of their week, and Immortals played still really well in this series in comparison to where they've been the last few weeks. Like, they did not just throw this game, but P1 just did make it look really easy. Like, they just were ahead the entire time. They just were able to strong arm them to their nexus and just basically systematically beat them down over and over until they just straight up won. So when you see a team win like that, it makes you realize that they actually just have such a good concept of the meta and how to just win a game that it's going to make them, I think, really scary in the playoff scenario. So fuck yeah, P1.
It's gonna be a big week for them next week, because they have Cloud9, who they are going to be contesting that second seed positioning for the bye week. And they have TSM, so they have the only teams who are ahead of them in the standings right now. So, Chris, how are you calling it?
I think that they will, this can be bold, I think it'll be 2-1 against C9, and I think they'll 2-0 TSM, to be completely honest.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Shit.
Okay.
I'm just going to say it.
All right.
I'm just
That
gonna put my
shit was
balls on the
so
table.
bold. I just boiled
That's
it
right.
and poured
It's
it in my
bold.
coffee
It's
cup.
bold.
That
But,
was
like,
fantastic.
if they keep the momentum that they have right now and the way that they're playing, they can definitely do that. You know, it's just really going to depend on if C9 or TSM can find some sort of weakness to destroy them, and I don't know.
I mean,
what
if I'm a coach right now, my thing with P1 is if Meteos gets his comfort picks, then they're amazing. It's when Meteos is not allowed to play on his comfort champions like the Zac, the Elise, things like that they look shaky. I mean, you can't really shake Arrow right now. Arrow's
Arrow's
like
too good.
playing god tier. Like, Double was the best AD carry mechanically until Arrow showed up, and now it's like no contest. But I think that and this is why Inori is a good sixth person for this roster, why he's going to be key playoffs and beyond, is in series where teams, especially best of fives, where teams like try and take away Meteos' comfort picks and he doesn't perform well, you can just sub in Inori. And it's a whole different champion pool that you can affect the meta of that series with. So playoff-wise, he's going to be really important. But TSM, I think that's bold, because I think TSM sees that. Meteos, okay, just don't give him Zac. Don't give him, at least these comfort picks. And then we'll just plan around Arrow.
it's
right
possible.
now, that's,
Yeah,
right now,
I just
really
don't know.
about it.
I just don't know if TSM's bot lane is going to be able to beat Arrow and Stunt right now.
But
that's
the
problem.
The truth of the matter is, though, is that the AD carry position isn't like the strength there isn't as valuable as strength in the top lane, strength in mid lane.
Kind of.
So-
Just Arrow is that strong.
Yeah,
Like,
it
Arrow,
really depends.
Arrow is
There's
just
a lot of
that
different
strong
things.
of a character.
On top of that, patch 7.5 has helped with a lot of other AD carries. So, like, Ezreal has a massive 2-item spike and an even better 3-item spike. So his mid-game to late-game transition is actually phenomenal. So if you give up Ezreal to anyone, and especially someone like Arrow or Stixay or Double Lift, all of whom have shown that they are extremely competent on the champion, that's an AD carry you do not want to get fed at all, because that is an AD carry that will come to your lane
Wow.
at 20 minutes and fuck you in the ass.
And I
another
gotta-
thing that
I gotta put some numbers behind what we're talking about with Arrow here because I never even realized this.
He's
Fucking
amazing.
It's him and Stixay, and even
70
he's way above Stixay.
70% win rate. Next one down is Sneaky at 67.5, and he's got a KDA of 5.9, which Wild Turtle and Sneaky are right under him at 4. So actually some pretty good numbers to back up.
But I think
In like every category, Arrow is the top 80 carry.
Yeah, but I think the important thing that we need to look at for TSM wise is I don't think people will be able to focus the bot lane as a focal point for getting ahead because TSM's bot lane this entire season has been, okay, you can lose lane, just don't die. That's kind of been their entire MO. Like, keep Wild Turtle at least even. You can lose lane, sure, but just don't die and don't feed kills, and we'll be okay. And as long as TSM follows that strategy, if they come down for a 4-man bot party, just have Wild Turtle and Bifrost back off, don't do anything stupid in 2v2 lane, they'll be okay. I think that, I don't know if it nullifies Arrow completely, but it definitely makes his early advantage that much less. They play safe to, like, basically just don't die. You can give up lane, just don't feed.
One thing that we really have to look at in these last... So, the Immortals game really showed a lot for how to play against P1 with Meteos, with the ban strategy that they did, because they were like 5 deep into bans on Arrow after all the bans went through, because they banned out Meteos and then forced him onto Zac, and then I think throughout the total thing there was 4 or 5 bans on 80 carries because they were able to grab the early Ezreal both times. Yeah, both times they were able to grab the early Ezreal. And that puts Arrow super far down on his champ pool. And if you look at Arrow's performance against Immortals, so this is probably his worst showing. And still, his worst showing is pretty fucking good.
His worst showing was against CLG when P1 lost.
Okay, well, but like in these last...
If you really want to see a bad Arrow series, that's it.
Yeah, but I think this is a good way with the new meta, like pushing Arrow super far down, forcing him onto Kalista and then Draven, which, yes, Arrow's champion pool is huge, but the Kalista he played well, but he got super lucky with that getting given red buff right off the fucking bat by that stupid Dardoch invade. And then the Draven play was mediocre at best. Like, that game was a Ryu game all day.
Yeah, and even then, I think that was more of Immortals' communication. They didn't collapse for him. You saw Dardoch actually ping for assistance as soon as he started doing the red buff because he knew that they were there and they'd seen him.
Well,
but Immortals was very slow to collapse on it. And I think that I agree with the ban strategy as far as trying to knock Arrow down, because I don't like the strategy of actually forcing Meteos onto the Zac, because Meteos is known for these pseudo-tank Zac, Elise, things like that. So why would you force him onto his favorite jungler that he has the most high impact play on?
Well, but also, Dardoch kills the fucking blast cone as he walks into the jungle for that invade, killing his out.
That too.
Just breaking is like, dude, that was your out and you just got rid of it. Like, are you a fucking moron? What are you doing?
All right, let's
move on.
Let's keep moving. To put a bow on that, I think if you're going to pay attention to the P1 series for next week, pay attention to the Cloud9 matchup, because currently P1 does have a game over Cloud9. So if they cash in on that in a tiebreaker scenario, which I guess this is as good a time as ever because we're about to get into tiebreaker city in North America at least. It'll be important. So the tiebreaker rules for this playoffs stand. If two teams have a matchup, they have the same record. Tiebreaker situations come into play. The person with the team rather with the higher head-to-head matchup, the 2 times that they play each other, the higher one will win. So if somebody's 2-0'd the other team, they automatically get the higher seed. If they are tied in the head-to-head, so they've gone 1-1 in their series, it is the win percentage of their overall total games played. So that is, if they go into a series 2-0 versus 2-1 or 1-2, it all depends on how that breaks out. So that's total game played. The higher win percentage goes on. If that is even, it goes to a tiebreaker match. So not as many tiebreaker match I think we won't be seeing as we have in the past, which is kind of a bummer because those are always pretty exciting, just very long. So look for that kind of going forward. But let's talk about number 4 and sort of, I guess, the only team on maybe the fringiest of fringe of not making it into playoffs, CLG. There's a weird scenario where they don't make it into playoffs.
My boys.
Free LG.
All right. So, wow, that's very offensive. Fuck you.
Can we just say, by the way, props to CLG. They were fucking 9th place for a long time. They were down there, and now they're 4.
This has been CLG with Huhi. Like, this is what they are.
yeah.
They might be shit. Like, they might lose over and over again, but they don't fucking tilt anymore. They come game to game, ready to play, series to series. It doesn't matter if they had a bad day like the day before. It doesn't matter if they had a bad week. They're there the next week, and they're, like, good to go and ready to play their damnedest. And they really showed it. They had 2 extremely clean 2-0s this week, which I am pulling up right now. So the first one was against Echo Fox, and that one was kind of just a stomp. The first game was a little bit more back and forth. Teams looked pretty even until a forced Baron fight by CLG pretty much allowed them just to play around the dragon until basically Looper kind of stepped out of the way of a Nautilus hook coming through, and it caught Keith.
Oh my
clean
god.
the
I was
fucking nod.
I was watching that with one of my friends, and as soon as Keith got hooked, we both just like jumped up and were like, it's over. That's it. And it's like
Yeah,
CLG
that's how
just
you know.
ran a fucking train over them.
It's over. It's over.
Yeah, pretty much. And like you saw instantly, everyone just dove on Keith. Keith didn't even die.
That wasn't even
the funniest thing was
that wasn't even fucking Keith's fault, honestly.
no, it was Looper. Your tank should be blocking.
They completely
that. The tank stepped
they
out
completely
of the way.
like they were like, "Oh, yep, here's our 80 carry. Like, take him, please."
Yeah, like there's a corridor. It was like Moses parting the Red Sea, and there was Keith getting his dick whipped
By a Nautilus anchor.
by a Nautilus anchor. So the funniest thing was the Nautilus anchor hits Keith. Everyone dives in, and then immediately goes, "Oh, it's Keith," and leaves and goes for Froggen. And Keith's alive for another 3 straight seconds, just like, what do I hit?
Unload the cooldowns
that
before you
shit-
die.
That shit was hilarious. And then they immediately go for Froggen and blow him up. As soon as Froggen's dead, that's the entire team for Echo Fox. So game was over at that point. CLG was in control for the most part that entire time, but Fox was able to pick up the odd kill here and there. X Smithy is once again becoming really, really solid in the jungle, but that game was a little weird. He was caught out all the time. Second game was a lot cleaner, a lot of fun because that was Huhi's Talon game. And oh my god.
Hardcore parkour, baby.
Like, he was just like, oh, is there a backline? I think there is. Is there 4 people on it or less? Yeah? All right.
That was the Talon
going
Rumble
in.
comp, wasn't it? Yeah, that was I was watching SKT versus I believe it was Jinair when that was going on, and they played the same Talon Rumble comp and just absolutely stomped on Jinair. Like Faker went off so hard that game.
Yeah.
And I saw CLG lock that in. I'm like, this is gonna be like SKT. And it was. And he went ham.
was.
And it was great.
Yep. You
Yeah,
slow
and
him down.
Darshan was like 9-1 and 12, 9-1 and 8.
Yeah.
Like it was.
You slow him down, hit him with damage, and you have Talon going all Assassin's
It's
Creed.
so
record
much
instead of Pache,
AoE
like-
just all at one time.
It's insane. And what was really fun, I love this play in this game, was where Echo Fox decided to push down mid when they had no top inhibitor turret. And so Huhi just went to the top inhibitor. And Echo Fox is like, oh shit. And they tried to retreat. And the entirety of CLG just sat in the jungle, poking them, making sure they couldn't back, making sure they couldn't get to Huhi as he just
They
free
formed
hit
a
down the
fucking wall.
inhibitor.
And we're just
Yeah,
like,
it was
you
like
are
the
like, you
great-
shall not pass. and just let him kill the Indian.
It was
so
beautiful.
impressive to watch that.
And I just have to mention something about Echo Fox. It's just really sad. And we always talk about Keith's poor play, but he's been relegated to perma Ash duty, and he has
literally
bad.
not played anything except that in like
And he's
weeks.
still playing super bad. And
Well,
Ash is one of the
it's
more...
not even. I don't even think it's his problem because when he's forced onto another AD carry, except for that one game with Ez, he looked like real decent. And then he got fucking 1v1 by Gragas. But like he looks better on everything. But I think Echo Fox as a team is their biggest problem is they have to rely on Keith to have that arrow for an initiator. Like they're forcing him onto him because they need the CC because they're not willing to play it. So yeah, there's that. And then they played against FlyQuest, which would have been interesting like 4 weeks ago. But now that FlyQuest is still in their huge downfall, it was still a good overall game. We did see who he first picking, the Vladimir, which is looking like it's going to become more and more prevalent from everyone. It also had the wonderful line from Captain Flowers, which was balls be tanking.
And
But they are spanking him all the way back to the spawn platform.
That was one of
baby.
the best, like just off the top of his your head things I've ever heard in my life.
Captain Flowers is a phenomenal caster. Everyone who's likes to watch LCS or doesn't like to watch it, look at this clip. Captain Flowers CLG versus FlyQuest. It'll make you a believer. It's fantastic. He's hilarious. Him and Kobe together. I want them to cast every.
They're
playoff
like one of my
series
new
'cause they're
favorite
amazing.
duos.
Yeah. So basically, Technologic Gaming. 3 weeks ago, this would have been like an interesting mid-table to high-table matchup. Now it's like a bottom-tier matchup, and they got 2 clean 2-0s, which was huge, and really good for them going
They
forward.
had the most boring end to a game I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's the Winions at the end.
Dignitas, the next one down the line, 8-8 games against Cloud9 and Immortals for next week. Dig's been on the rise.
I can
boys.
definitely see them winning versus C9.
Yeah. They're pretty good in terms of playoff spots. They've got one series up on FlyQuest and Immortals, one series down at 7 and 9. So they really just have to go in here confident and actually do pretty well. Their game against Immortals is sort of the most important. Immortals did beat them in their last matchup, so at best they can tie that and take it to a win percentage scenario, but they are also very close in that win percentage, so there is a chance that comes to balanced out, and we could even go to one of those zesty tiebreaker matches. I wouldn't get your hopes up, though. I think overall we will see Dig in playoffs, and Laud with the fucking spicy call-off on Seraph.
That was
Hell yeah, dude.
Oh yeah.
I discovered
Dude.
there are 3 kinds of people on Reddit who are going to comment. There are people who are saying that they're pumped that NA Trash Talk is back. There's people who are supporting Laud because he used to be on Envy and probably knows that Envy is garbage. And then there are people who just want to talk about how attractive Laud is as a person.
There's
And
no
how,
one
like,
trying to
that's-
defend Seraph.
Yeah, no. So let's talk about a team that's a little more contentious, I guess, because we had our hopes about FlyQuest for quite some time, but in recent days they've sort of let us down. FlyQuest has been kind of taking a dive bomb recently.
The
in their
nosedive has
overall
happened.
ability.
The mid-season nosedive from FlyQuest.
Yeah, they lost both of their matches this week against CLG and TSM, albeit a pretty hard week. But their games against Echo Fox and Liquid, 2 games that should be very winnable, is going to make a huge deal, considering that they are currently tied in the standings with Immortals. They're either going to hit the point where they're making it to playoffs and they can make a solid run of it, or they're going to get boosted to just the nothing zone where they don't get to do anything. And to be honest, a team that's been called out for motivation reasons recently, coming out with, constantly like cheese and very specific picks, I think Dardoch in one of his post-game interviews talked about their motivation and, why they're even an LCS team. It's a pretty interesting spot for FlyQuest. They really have to either decide that they're going to push forward and make a solid stab for MSI, or potentially fall off the face of the earth, which who knows what that'll look like in the summer. So FlyQuest has a couple of interesting scenarios for them. So they're currently tied with Dignitas. So if a tie comes up with that, it's going to come down to win percentage. And with Immortals, they're also tied. So they're a little bit closer in the series matchups for that overall. So it's gonna be an interesting series for them. Fox and Envy are two very easy games, but from what we've seen, it's tough.
I just have to say that everyone called me a fool when the last time I was on this show and not just a pre-recorded voicemail, I said that FlyQuest could drop out of playoffs. Look at me now. They're about to drop out of playoffs.
And it was Fox and
I
Liquid.
said they were gonna be 9th.
I don't care what you say.
Same.
Mine
I
is
messed
more
up
accurate.
really bad.
So
I messed up really bad again, and it's Fox and Liquid.
Duffy and I called this from the beginning.
I'm still standing firmly behind my claim of don't bet against high.
See, here's the thing, Ian. You better not stand too closely behind, or they're gonna fall back into you.
and I don't think you're big enough. You don't think you're
But
strong
at
enough to hold
least
up
you're not standing
all
in
that
front
weight.
of them, because if you fall, they're just gonna let you down.
Feels
boy.
bad, man.
That's rough.
So last in playoffs, serious playoffs contention is Immortals. Technically, Echo Fox is 2 series away from like tying and then, potentially getting in. I don't know if they have any series matchups or potential to make it through, but it isn't looking super great for them. So I think we can kind of just let that one go to pasture. Chris, tell me about Immortals and whether or not they're going to make it through.
I have no idea, honestly. There's 2 types of Immortals. I said it a little bit last time in my little spiel that you have 2 kind of different teams of Immortals, which we saw a kind of a crappy one last weekend and a pretty decent one this week. So yes, but if they do even get it into playoffs, I don't think they'll get very far. So it's like if they do, good for them, but they're clearly not going to win the split. So it's just a matter of placing at this point for them. But I don't think they'll get relegated. So good for you, Immortals.
They're definitely out of the relegation zone,
So-
but it's whether or not they can handle making it through on playoffs. I think.
Yeah,
is the
I don't think
biggest
I don't think they'll be able to. So like even if they do get into playoffs, they'll be out very quickly. So it's kind of at this point irrelevant. It's just the fact that they are starting to improve slightly as a team. So
it blows because like Dardoch
Is he about to say something
is
good
starting
about Dardoch?
to warm up on me a little bit.
well, his raw talent,
Oh,
is amazing.
You can't fucking roll back on Dardoch like this.
No,
that.
let me finish.
Let
me finish.
I struck him down in the height of his power, and this is what you're gonna do.
Let me finish. Let me finish. He reminds me of Forgiven in the sense that
I just wanted to say. Okay.
he reminds me of Forgiven in the sense that he is a good player, but you also know he's kind of a piece of shit. And what makes it better is that like I think he's younger and he's got more potential than Forgiven did. And like it's sad to me in my old age, to see that potential squandered. So it's not like, I don't know, man. I wish like he had this redeeming quality and became this personality, or leaned into the memeing. Like that would be okay too. I think if he really said
meme.
like, "All right, saddle up, boys. I'm gonna start talking some serious garbage here." I think that would probably maybe work in his favor one day. Mostly because I want to see somebody's soul crushed like Dyrus's again. Because that was pretty.
Oh no!
That was pretty.
Oh
fun.
no!
But yeah, it's It's an interesting case that of Dardoch. So I'm gonna summarize the last 3 teams here in Echo Fox, Liquid, and Envy.
So Sean doesn't rant about them for an hour and a half?
Yeah, pretty much. Envy will start at the
you
very
guys.
bottom. Envy is definitely like pretty much stuck in the relegation zone. There's really not a lot coming back from that.
And good riddance.
Echo Fox and Liquid do kind of have a run at each other for who might get bumped down into relegation. I'm really looking forward to another 2.5 hour cringe fest from Liquid, so I hope they stay down there in the relegation zone. And I think Echo Fox is good enough to kind of keep it there, but we will see how that plays out sort of in the last weeks here. Echo Fox is going to be playing FlyQuest and Envy, while Liquid is going to be playing TSM and FlyQuest. So FlyQuest kind of has the ability to bop both of them so far down that they're going to have to worry about those other matchups for who is
What
going to
this really
claw
comes
out
down to is
relegations.
Echo Fox. Do they beat Team Envy or
Yes.
Yeah, there is.
I
this-
think
like the
so.
end.
I
Interesting
can't
match.
see
Yeah.
them losing to Envy. Like as shaky as they seem sometimes,
We don't need to start talking about it, but like
they're not
that's
going to
going to
lose
be
to
the
Envy.
interesting matchup.
Yeah.
We could stop there and just keep
I'm
going.
just saying they could make playoffs. There's a scenario where, there's a
Yeah, where FlyQuest
It's a
drops
I
off.
don't
possibility.
think. No,
and then a 3-way tie.
I don't think there is, because I think at this point you'd have to look at whether or not Echo Fox has winning matchups against either Immortals or FlyQuest, and I don't think... Actually, holy shit, they do have one game on FlyQuest, so...
And they play again this upcoming week. So if they
yeah,
win that
holy...
match-
Okay,
Upset
so
alert.
there's
Upset
a
alert.
billion. There's a billion
Yeah.
scenarios where this may come out in a certain way, but, like, don't get your hopes up. I certainly don't think they are. Echo Fox is like missed potential of North America. They always like have
really
these
are,
moments where they're looking really
without
good.
having any potential from North America except for Acadia.
Well, see, that's the thing is like I don't know. We don't have to get into detail about it. We've kind of been talking about it all.
That's a very deep rabbit hole. Yeah.
It's a very deep foxhole.
Hey,
You know what? I thought mine was fine. We could have left it at that. But whatever.
You kind of had it right on the table there, and you just sort of left it.
yeah, that was your own fault, bud.
Speaking of leaving things on the table, we'll leave North America for now. They do have the 1 week left. Next week we'll have a perfect playoffs position, and we'll be able to speak to that. But with Europe, we've got 2 more weeks left. So I think we'll kind of like dance over this one quite a bit because these matchups, like, they matter, obviously, because we're back to, I think, almost entirely intergroup play. But we are sort of tapering off towards the end here for Europe. So we'll start as we'll kind of go back to form similar to North America. We'll start at Group A, top of the table, G2, 10-0.
So this series was actually incredibly exciting, just because it looked like Misfits had the potential to upset G2. They came way closer than they had any right to being in Game 3. G2 had a really solid lead and tried so goddamn hard to throw that lead. I was watching it and I was thinking to myself, I'm just like, Misfits is going to win this. They found this incredible fight and then they threw it Baron.
So
I don't
fucking
understand.
hard.
Like they had this like immaculate team, like 2 really solid
was
team
so
fights
good.
where
You
it was like
don't have to understand. It's just EU.
yeah, but it was like
This
they found these amazing team fights. It was like, oh, holy crap, Misfits has they're gonna win the game. They just won
Right.
2 massive team fights in a row. And then they go over to Baron. It's like, okay, cool. They're going to get Baron control. They can bait it out. They can get a pick, and then they can get it. And then no. They just
Man,
completely
That's
fucking
right.
throw the game. They get aced, and then G2 ends the game off of it.
Yeah, that's what I didn't understand is that it was 3v5 and all they had to do was just turn and kill the rest of the members that showed up, and then they would have won.
And
the
then they
game.
just stayed on Baron and then died. it was like it was such a. I honestly want to say it was them thinking, oh, like we have to go for this now because this may be the only chance we get, and they went for it, and they didn't think about like they were focused on just ending the game right there.
Yeah.
They didn't
got
have confidence in
They didn't
themselves
think about the
to end it out
implications.
later. But
They got scared because they were up against G2, who's
Yeah.
just such a strong team, and Misfits. They're a good team too, but they're just not. They don't have everything there like G2 does. G2
Yeah.
just has everything so together, and it's just insane to watch. I wish I was watching this series live because I would have been so much more hyped for this stuff when it hit. Because I wouldn't have already known that. I was like watching that, knowing Misfits loses. I was like, "Oh,
it's
come
it's
on!"
actually like super
How?
sad.
I was like,
They
"Yeah,
were
I
in
was just
such
like,
a good
this-
position.
This is looking.
I
so
was like
good.
fully half chub. I was half chub watching this part. I was like, oh my god, G2's finally gonna go down. Fucking finally. Now we can have some parity. This is gonna be amazing. No. Misfits, no. Cacao, no.
Here's the thing, though.
Guys,
Stop!
guys,
Here's the
guys,
thing.
please,
It doesn't-
guys."
It doesn't matter. Like, let's say things reverse. G2 loses that series. They're not giving up their first seed out of their group. Misfits isn't contesting for the second seed. The second seed comes from Group B. So you're not moving in the stands whatsoever.
I think
Mont,
it does
you gotta-
matter though. I think it does because
It really
if you get that win, like if you get one team that beats G2, it's like that says to other teams this team is beatable. And there's something about going up
I
against
think international tournaments tells other teams in Europe that G2 is beatable.
well just within Europe though. I mean just within Europe. It's
Yeah, the key there is beatable by teams in their region.
Yeah.
and
And
I think
sorry, Perch, finish up. Sorry.
I was just saying, I feel like it would start butterfly effect, where it's like G2 loses a game, it's really close. Perks goes off the deep end and falls off the edge of a cliff mentally. Sven admit this.
that's
I've
one
been
hell of
doing
a
their own
butterfly
thing.
effect.
And then, and it just kind of all unravels. And I mean, yeah, they'd still probably win their region and possibly make playoffs, but I think it would be just, I don't know. And I think everyone just wanted to see the top team lose, like everyone always does. So
What
Hell
I
yeah.
think-
Fuck G2.
I think if IEM hadn't happened, G2 would have gotten beat at one point in this split. Without IEM and G2 gaining those losses at IEM, I don't
know,
'cause-
man. They looked Unicorns and HGK did not look good at all against G2. Like maybe
And
if you
that's
throw enough garbage at the
a lot of
fucking
the
wall,
I think
some of it'll stick.
Mithy has come out and said after IEM, like they realized a lot of their flaws and buttoned them up. They might not have seen the mistakes they were making if they hadn't lost at IEM, and they
That's-
would have,
I mean,
and they
that's-
probably would have lost to Misfits here or UOL or H2K at one point.
That's my motto, is that like teams have to fucking lose to understand themselves. And God, I am sorry to the people who get upset when we get saucy about Europe, but when you take half of the good teams in Europe and put them in another place where you're not going to play them as much, you're not going to get as much good
We would have
goddamn
had
experience.
such better quality of a league if we would have had G2, H2K. If the top four had played each other more, how about this time? We make two fucking groups next split. One group of all the good teams, one group of all the shit tier teams, and then
I'm 100% behind this idea.
the second.
We have high priority queue.
Exactly.
You know what?
The,
You know what the thing is,
professional
though?
teams.
If they keep this system in the spring, they could Riot doesn't decide these groups. The teams decide these groups.
If the teams
All
decide to put all the
G2
good
has to
groups-
do is go like, okay, in our group, H2K, then Unicorns have to go Misfits. So I mean, fuck no, you have to have two good
There's
teams
one
on either
shit.
group.
There's one
Damn it.
good team in one
Fuck.
group always, dude. Like if you just had one group of all shit teams, one group of all good teams, then you just all the bad teams. Whoever is the best team in the bad group still doesn't get a play in playoffs, and then the playoffs is just Group A. We
I
just
guess
make
that's
it
what you
second
that's what you
challenger
sell
group.
the other team. That's what you sell the other team. Like you have to put a good team into our group because you're gonna get guaranteed. You're gonna get guaranteed like you're gonna be second seed in playoffs.
Yeah.
Absolutely guaranteed. But let's keep talking about other teams. Misfits we kind of covered. They're the second seed, 7-3. Not even have the opportunity to be touched by a crumbling Fnatic. 4-6, losing their head coach this late in the season.
This team fell off a cliff.
It is. The whole team's falling apart. Reckless was on Twitter earlier this week talking about how he was thinking about retiring because he couldn't deal with it anymore. Mainly just because they keep losing close series, and apparently he lost his inspiration in Lifebevin when he moved to H2K.
His
Like no lie, he literally said that Febvin was the biggest inspiration he'd ever met as far as a person wise, and he was sad to see him go. So that was a big plus. And then they're losing struggling games. And then they get rid of Nico the Pico, and it's just the team's just slowly crumbling as the season goes on. And it's looking like almost like Origin 2.0, except they never really hit the high Origin did. And like talking about a team, it's hard to do because they look good in game to a point where they'll get these really close games and look good for a minute, but there's always that one big moment where they throw out a big objective. Either it's the EU Baron or they mismanage waves and lose a team fight. And I feel really bad for the team. I do. It's hard to be put in that situation where you know you're good enough to, be a top 3, top 4 team, but then you just can't ever get it right. Something always goes wrong in a series that just doesn't go your way. And it's just mentally wearing on everyone except for SOAS, I guess.
If stuff is consistently going wrong,
Who
though,
doesn't give a
if
shit?
stuff is consistently going wrong every single time, then there's probably a reason for you to be down at the bottom tier. Even if it's like just little stuff, it's like there's still stuff happening consistently that's putting you below other people.
Very true, and I think that's why they got rid of Nico the Pico, because he has, especially like from his time on Orion, when, he has shown in his coaching style that there's always that one small thing that's wrong with the team. But with Fnatic, they're just not as good as the talent on Orion was when he was there coaching, so it kind of like got expounded exponentially.
I think there's one of the things we have to look at is that one of the biggest problems Fnatic has been running into this entire split is draft. Their drafts have just been terrible. Everyone's been talking about it. They just haven't been able to figure it out. And Nico, their coach, has obviously been doing something wrong with that because he's the one that's in charge of drafts. It shouldn't be players. It should be him. And so that's showing right there that there's probably a reason to get rid of him. We're probably going to see another Fnatic fall apart in this fucking mid-season. I don't know what else is going to happen because Rockat's coming up real fast. And if Rockat and Fnatic have the exact same finishing schedule these next couple weeks, the only difference is Fnatic plays Giants before they play Misfits in G2, and Rockat only has to play Misfits in G2. So if Fnatic loses to Giants, then Fnatic and Rockat end the split with the exact same record, even against each other, so then they'll have to play I don't know which one has the game split over each other. And so there's a strong possibility Fnatic doesn't make playoffs.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even be
Rockat's been
surprised
looking
at
so
this
good.
point.
And I was getting excited because like Rockat is on his surge and Fnatic's like falling super fast, and I could definitely see it happening, and it'll just be like in my heart I really feel bad for this team. I feel bad for Reckless because he's such a good player. He's actually a really cool guy, it seems.
Here's what's going to happen. Here's what's going to happen with Reckless. So Reckless is going to retire, right? He's going to throw away his Fnatic jersey. He's going to be walking home. And then he's going to be going down some alleyway, and you're going to hear like a series of cards shuffling, and he's going to like turn and look because he's going to be curious. And there's Froggen. And he's shuffling some cards.
He's in like a Twisted Fate cosplay.
Yeah, he's in Twisted Fate cosplay. And he's going to turn the cards into money and go, hey, they have a ton of money in North America. Beat Rick Fox. And then Rick Fox is going to come out of nowhere and he's going to go, Do you want to be mediocre in North America?
Yeah.
Would get
Yeah,
paid.
But that's
Frog
an
and-
import.
Frog
Dude,
and-
Liquid's
can't
gonna
do it.
pick up. Liquid's
Yeah.
gonna pick up Reckless.
Yeah.
How would they? How would Echo Fox
legit-
pick up
legit-
Reckless?
legit,
They'd have
here's
to
the
get
thing.
rid of Looper.
Here's the thing: is that there's gonna be a power. There's gonna be so when Doublelift leaves Liquid and goes to TSM, Wild Turtle's gonna need to go somewhere maybe, and I think he may not go anywhere. If Reckless does give up his spot, that's a pretty big pickup for a North American team. He can get his balls back. He can start to get really good, and he could be super famous and make a ton of money in North America. Like,
I say-
yeah,
But
it's-
he's an import.
I say Turtle goes to Echo
So
Fox,
that's the
and then Reckless goes to
Actually,
Liquid.
because TSM is planning to keep Turtle in a 6-man roster situation, which will probably
That's
be
not
more
happening.
Of, which is probably it's what they said in their thing when they loaned Doublelift out was he's coming back to a 6-man roster, and it's probably going to be like, okay, we have Wild Turtle as a sub, and then when Doublelift gets tired or we play garbage teams, Wild Turtle plays, so we can save Doublelift, some
It
energy.
won't happen.
I'm guaranteeing you, Reginald is only saying that because he had it's obvious. It's honestly a pretty good strategy if you're a owner of a team. Do not let Doublelift think he can just walk back onto the team, but in your heart of hearts, you're like, please God, just come back, come home.
Yeah.
But you don't especially with temperamental people like Doublelift, you can't just say like you are going to get your spot. You got to make them work for it. You got to make them hungry.
Work for it, quote unquote, air quotes around it.
Yeah, I think they will make them work for it, and I think you might even see in the summer some early double or Wild Turtle play if they keep them. But we
It's
talked
gonna
about
be-
TSM already. Rockhat, we talked about. They do have playoffs potential. Giants relegation, you're stuck there. That's
So-
Group A.
And I just want to say something really quick about Rockhat is like it's not even that they're just beating teams that are bad. They actually look really good, and they're playing as a team while doing it. It's actually really impressive. And I watched their series, their latest series this past week, and it wasn't even like the series was like completely close. There was the Fnatic series that actually was close, and Fnatic kind of threw that one, sort of. But then the Giant series that look really clean. The 2-0s they're getting are legitimate 2-0s, and Rockhat actually, I don't think they're going to be able to beat the top 4. But I think battling for that 5-6 spot, and then maybe even playing for the third place match, I look for them to be real contenders. I don't know about winning it, but look for at least good games to come out of this team, especially from what we've seen throughout the past.
I don't know if Rocket
it's-
makes it out or makes it to a third place match. I think they get knocked out first round of playoffs.
They got out of relegation, which was a huge thing for them, and they honestly, you can be happy with that as Rockhat. Like, you've really saved yourself from a serious issue. I mean, just a few weeks ago, before they hit this winning streak, there were videos that Rockhat, the company, were putting out where they were saying, like, I forget what player they had on, but they were like, don't worry, guys. Like, even though we may be in relegations, like, I'm not going to lose my job because Rockhat is a big company that makes all these peripherals. Like, it was obviously, an advertisement, but still kind of left the impression that, like, hey, we realize we're really shitty right now, but now they're in a pretty good spot and they're not looking at relegation like they were before. They really need to bring Overpow back. It's as simple as that. What's that guy doing?
And do what? Lose more games?
To be continued. Let's put a pin in that one. and move
Yeah,
on.
Giants, whatever. They're Giants. Let's talk about Group B. Let's talk about Unicorns of Love.
Ooh. So, Unicorns of Love gave H2K the hot 2-0, and
So salty.
and like while Unicorns, everyone knows they're a good team and everything, I think that series is more H2K just underperforming. Yeah, whatever, mod. I think that it was more H2K underperforming that series. I think that Odawamne had a terrible series that series. He went 6-12 overall. And I believe in the post-game interviews and while on the desk, both him and Yanko submitted that they were just off as a team that series. And I think Unicorns of Love just took advantage of that to give them that 2-0. And that's all that can really be said. I mean, we know Unicorns are the top team. They've now grabbed the top spot, I think. Yeah, because... Yeah, they now they've solidified the top spot right now. and I think with the way the rest of their schedule is working, it'd be hard for them to lose that top spot now. But I wouldn't take too much out of this win because it was more H2K just having a bad series overall and just making bad macro decisions, just making bad mechanical plays than it was Unicorns, just outplaying them.
So I was talking to Duffy about this earlier today. Europe breaks down as G2 is clear number 1. And then the second place is a 3-way tie between H2K, UOL, and Misfits. And the reason why I say this is because it's a trinity. Just like we see all over in lanes and shit like that, each team plays really well against the other. Unicorns of Love always beats H2K. I think H2K is probably beat Misfits, not the majority of the time, and I think Misfits will always beat UOL. I just think how it all works out, each team is good against each other, and H2K cannot figure out UOL. UOL just gets in their head, and they just play so bad against them. I don't know what they were thinking in this series. They,
I don't know about the entire...
They lost the early game so hard in the first one. Just so fucking hard.
That sounds like a deep conspiracy theory. But I mean, other the top 3 thing, a lot of people Sven agrees with you. A lot of EU experts agree that it's G2 right now, and then the 3 are H2K, UOL, and Misfits, and everyone else is below. Then they put Fnatic in, but no one cares about them.
Well, I think Splice is better than Fnatic. We can obviously see that. Splice is just in this middle ground that nobody else is.
Splice is the only average team in EU.
Yeah.
The only average team. You have a top 4, you have a shit 4, or whatever the fuck it is, shit 5, and then you have Splice, who's just hello, we are here, we know League of Legends,
So-
Danish, woo, pancakes.
So if H2K and Unicorns of Love don't overtake each other, the series is actually, with this win from Unicorns of Love over H2K, they're actually 2-0 in the series. So
it's
as
solidly
long as
in UOL's favor.
Yeah, as long as they can tie H2K in the overall, they're still going to take that bye week.
UOL has no has no hard games in these next couple weeks.
No,
they have nothing hard. They're gonna
at the same time
through it, whatever.
At the same time, neither
is
does
the same
H2K.
thing.
And
Yeah,
honestly,
Splice is the hardest.
We'll get into this when we preview EU's playoff week or playoffs or whatever. But I think UOL might be EU's only hope of beating G2. I think
Misfits.
Misfits.
Well, no, because
Yeah.
the way Misfits plays is they're really good at team play, but individual wise, it's Cacao and then Hansama. I want to say Power Evil. No, it's Cacao then Power Evil. Individual.
Alfari's
good. No, but they
really
talked
well.
about it. Alfari is good in lane early game, but then after that he kind of falls off. His team fighting and his team play around macro isn't as good, and we actually kind of saw it in the G2 series. And I mean, this is what experts say, and I agree with it based off what I saw in the G2 series, is that
what's the difference between us and experts? Let's be honest.
I just agree with them in that, and you saw it, in lane phase, he actually played really well against Expect, but then as far as macro and team play wise, it was just kind of it was almost like a disconnect between what the team wanted and what Alfari wanted to do, as far as I want to kind of split push. But then when it's time to join a team, it's TPs are late, he's not rotating fast enough, things like that. While UOL, not only are they, generally most games playing on a high macro level, but they're also playing on a good individual level. Vizichachi is playing extremely well this season. So is Cersei. The bot lane, Hillisang has his moments, but for the most part, they're looking pretty consistent in bot lane. And in mid lane, Exile, when they get him on his assassin champions, and, even Orianna Rise and things like that, he plays extremely well with the team as long as, he doesn't get ganked incessantly or end up on a Katarina where if you shut him down early, he can't really do much of anything. And even on his Katarina, his KDA is insane. So I think because UOL is a more well-rounded team than Misfits right now, that they have the better chance of beating G2.
I don't know if I'd say that, because I think
I think you're riding that unicorn horn a little too hard.
Yeah,
my friend.
I think
UOL has been exposed
I'm
time
not.
and again, and the only one that Misfits doesn't do well against is G2.
Yeah.
And it's not even that they don't do well; it's that they literally fucked up one Baron call in the series. Otherwise, they actually look like they matched up really good. And MF has gotten better throughout the split, and G2 has only gotten slightly better.
But that's what I'm talking about. Is in team play wise, in that Baron situation, I think UOL has a better chance. Plus, they're not a young team. They have a better chance of making the right decision of turning for that Baron than trying to burn it down.
okay.
Just based off of their experience. Like the way Misfits played that was kind of like an inexperienced play call where it's like, oh no, let's go ahead and burn down the Baron. We can do this. But then you have Perks and like 2 of G2's damage dealers sitting there ready to just like melt you as soon as you start the Baron and you're already low health. I think UOL either backs off the Baron or they make a better decision there. They go, okay, well, let's turn and fight if we're going to stay and we have the 5v3 advantage, or we just leave afterwards. So, I'm just saying based off of, past history somewhat. I mean, UOL has their history of bad play calls too, don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but I think in that
I could
situation
see
it's
if UOL gets in that same situation that Misfits was in, I could see them making a better call. I'm not sure if it still wins them the game, but I don't know if UOL is able to get to that same position that Misfits was at. That's where my issue is.
okay, that's fair.
Yo, what happened when UOL matched up against G2?
They got stomped.
They got
twice.
smashed.
They literally got their shit shoved in.
IEM and
It was
fucking regular
not good.
LCS play. It was bad.
Yeah. They do not match up better. UOL has not gotten better by much since IEM. G2 has gotten better.
Well,
by a little bit since
we
IEM.
cannot say
MF has gotten
we
consistently
actually
better.
cannot say smashed in both. In the series that they played, they got smashed in the first game. Okay, which is fair. All right, but in the second game, it was literally, remember, it was a UOL throw at the last minute because they had who
did they
had
throw?
when they had,
Did they throw a lot like Misfits threw? Maybe.
oh, but it was
They
like
make the
didn't
same
win a game
bad
in
play
between?
no,
call?
it was that random TP decision that I feel like Vizichachi kind of made on his own to just TP in the base when they weren't even outside the base and try and rush down the
Oh
base.
yeah.
And like I said,
Yeah, they made
I said
bad play
before,
calls.
that UOL has made their dumb decisions. Like I won't even say that that's not true.
UOL is composed of dumb decisions.
But I think
that's literally how they
The
win.
problem
I
with,
think that
with
that
UOL's
game
dumb
that was
decisions
four
is
that was
they,
4 series away. That was 4 series in the past, and I think UOL has grown as a team since then. They make a better decision.
the problem with UOL's dumb decisions is in the past they've always been towards the playoffs, end of season area where the pressure's on. Their management is stretched, everybody is stressed out, and they can't bring it together. When it's early on and teams are still trying to figure out each other and everybody is in generally a pretty good place, like that's when they excel. It's always the end of the split where they start to crumble. And granted, in week 8 of 10, they were able to, pull off a pretty good win against H2K. But it'll be, and playoffs isn't even a question for them. They're going to be there, even better so that they might get the top seed. It's how they're going to perform in playoffs when it comes down to it. And we're going to take a look at that when we're closer to it. Let's talk about the rest of Group B, though.
Bad.
Origin is not even in a conversation
Completely irrelevant
anyway because they're gonna
Wait. My team got to play them. It was a 2-0. Don't talk about it. All right.
Good talk. Splice.
Yeah, Vitality got to play Origin, and Vitality won. Okay.
Yeah.
They got to win.
Yeah.
We will be talking about the challenger scene when we talk about relegation stuff, because it is being disrupted quite a bit from what we expected.
I can't believe Shulka
Rip Shulka.
lost.
You know what? I love. Well, Shulka will still be there for the promotion tournament. They'll be second.
What the fuck are the words you guys are using?
What?
Shulka.
Shulka no first.
Shulka.
Shulka no first.
Shulka.
Yeah, but Shulka will be there for the promotion tournament. But they'll just be the second. They'll just be like the lower seed than the
So
first
the problem
place team.
is, so the 9th place team will get to choose which of the 2 challenger teams they want to play.
Yeah.
And that'll determine them getting out completely out of the promotion tournament.
Yeah.
So that looks to be not Origin. Origin clearly looks like they're going to be the bottom team, so they're probably still going to have to win 2 series to get out. And that's highly unlikely. So I think we're still going to see them being relegated if Schalke is good enough, because it'll be between, what's the other team probably? We're looking at Rocket potentially, or
It'll be Giants. It'll be Giants.
Yeah, Giants.
Yeah, and actually, I don't think Misfits
they
Academy
could be
can even play in
Giants.
the promotion tournament because they're an academy team. I think it goes down to the
No,
third place
they
team.
can still play.
Yeah, they do.
I'm pretty sure they can still play as long as they're going to be.
It
It's
does.
the same situation as the C9.
I actually think the root
Thing, right?
the
Because
rules
I
are
thought that changed
I
and
think
it comes through
the
until
the
next
rules
split.
changed.
Oh, they
The
changed?
rules
Yeah.
last split.
The root thing
The
is
rules
that you
changed
can't
at the
even
start of the
split?
split.
Oh,
Because
okay.
they
You're
don't.
an
Yeah,
academy
they don't.
team.
I thought
You
it was the
can't
next split.
participate in
Yeah.
the
You can-
promotion.
you can win the money, but the whole who goes to promotion shifts down.
Yeah,
a team.
like you can play in the playoffs and win the money for the challenger playoffs, but you cannot be a part of the promotion tournament, so you don't have like a C9 situation where there's like constantly winning and selling teams
Okay,
and stuff.
okay.
So it'll be Schalke, and it'll be whoever was after them will be in the promotion tournament. With Schalke probably being the top
Was
seed.
it Fnatic Academy maybe?
Well, then it moves on to the next one.
I don't know if there was a third place team.
So it'll
then-
move to Paris Saint-Germain or it'll almost certainly be Schalke and PSG just because they're both academy teams.
But I'm more worried about NACS because I love Mad Life and all, but I cannot see Loco Doco get back to LCS. I refuse.
Wait, was he playing
off the back of Phoenix.
Off the back of Phoenix, no less.
Yeah, so Goldcoin United has Loco Doco as the coach.
Oh,
They
okay.
have Phoenix in mid lane, Mad Life support, Mash Me as AD carry, Solo.
Solo is
Yeah,
Solo's
Solo.
top lane.
Solo's E.
Solo,
Is Solo top lane?
Santorin, Phoenix, Mash, and Mad
Yeah.
Life.
And I love
remember.
at least 3 out of 5 of those players on that roster, but I cannot see Phoenix and Loco Doco back in LCS.
Yeah, I know.
So
Just for the love of God. Freeze,
Sorry.
my boy. What are you doing, man?
mainly because Loco Doco would talk so much trash.
Yeah,
to
Freeze has been getting shit on.
I know.
Freeze has not done well. And even individually, Freeze has not done well in Chelsea.
I don't know what people thought. He didn't do well when he was on H2K, and it wasn't an environment thing. He just wasn't.
He did so good on
he was
Copenhagen Wolves,
great.
though. He was a fucking
he was-
god.
He was consistent. I'll give him that. He was consistent on H2K. He was like, for their situation with the whole Forgiven being like in and out, he was what they needed to balance the scale while they figured out that situation. But overall, like after Copenhagen Wolves, he just kind of fell off. Especially after.
I agree.
He played fine, but then he had the injury, and like things just kind of went downhill for him since then.
Yeah.
Once he got his wrist fucked up, like things were no bueno.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it will be E United and Goldcoin United in the NA promotions. Zazo, oh my god, I don't want to talk trash about the dude. I'm not about to do that.
Well,
Yo.
speaking about talking
Yo.
trash, I think we're just about done with talking all the trash we can on the LCS this week. This has been a good episode. It's good to be back in form. This is where it starts to get very exciting. Next week we'll know North American playoffs for sure. For Europe, we still have one more week in the bag before we get there. It's all very exciting. We have lots of fun stuff coming out. Just some sort of last minute show wrap ups coming out this week. It's already on YouTube if you want to catch it out now, but we have an hour-long interview with Devin Nash, CEO of CLG, on his history in esports and self-improvement and the future of esports. And it's a great interview that we did at PAX East. It's a lot of fun to listen to. It will be on the podcast feed probably around Thursday or Friday, but again, you can catch that on YouTube right now. That's the T-Force Network YouTube, where you can find such good programming as Dark Spell, where Sean's RPG episode just wrapped up. We're going to be hitting the grand campaign on that pretty damn soon. Lots of exciting things. Every time. Lots of exciting things going on, and we will be there right there with you. I didn't actually put episode 150 on YouTube because I had a really bad snowstorm and I couldn't get around to it. But you can find the LCS Goof down there where we have some of our great gaffes and outtakes. Honestly, we didn't record any of the pictures of us sharing our first Facebook page pictures on there, but I might just post those on the internet anyway for posterity.
Please, God.
Don't you fucking dare.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
I don't want to be an elected official anyway.
But that is going to do it this week for the LCS Rundown. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next week.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.